Welcome to the CISSP Cyber Training Podcast, where we provide you the training and tools you need to pass the CISSP exam the first time. Hi, my name is Shon Gerber, and I'm your host for this action-packed, informative podcast. Join me each week as I provide the information you need to pass the CISSP exam and grow your cybersecurity knowledge. All right, let's get started. Hey, all, Shon Gerber with CISSP Cyber Training, and hope you all are having a beautifully blessed day today. Today is CISSP Question Thursday, and we are going to be focused on the questions that are tied to, in this case, Domain 4.3 of the ISC Squared CISSP Study Guide. And again, as you guys are well know, that if you go to CISSPcybertraining.com, you can get access to this episode. You get access to it while you're also listening to it on the podcast, but you can get access to the video that's available to you as well at CISSP Cyber Training. If you want content, if you want a step-by-step guide on how to pass the CISSP, you can sign up with CISSP Cyber Training and purchase one of the options available, and you will get my blueprint, which will help you step-by-step as you're studying through the CISSP exam. But that being set aside, one thing I want to talk about before we get into the training today is about an article that I saw within the Register. Now, the Register was brought up this article around a labs called Black Lotus Labs, and they uncovered a sophisticated backdoor dubbed JMAGIC. Yeah, that's the name. It sounds like you could go a lot of different ways with JMAGIC, but it's targeting Juniper routers in critical sectors. And one of the main factors that they're looking at is the semiconductor industry, energy, and manufacturing. They said it's been going on for probably about a year and a half now. And the interesting parts about this is it looks extremely cool and Gucci, but if it's unleashed on the wrong cases, it could be extremely bad. JMAGIC is a variant of the invisible backdoor that operates pretty much stealthily by monitoring network traffic for specific conditions before it'll actually activate. It resides solely in memory. So that's actually a very interesting piece of malware to reside solely in memory. Why do we say that? Well, because in many cases, with it sitting in memory, it's very volatile. But because of that, it has stealth is a main factor, and it will also, once it's engaged, it will stay persistent. It basically monitors network traffic, waiting for one of 5 specifically crafted air quotes, magic packets. And then these will establish an SSL connection with the sender. So that's a pretty substantial aspect. Now, the one thing we do know that when you're dealing with outbound connections from an organization, SSL or any sort of encrypted traffic, in many cases, in many situations, is not being monitored by the folks within a SOC. And why is that? Because it's encrypted. So you have to put some very specific controls in place to help monitor for this SSL traffic. It then will send a random 5-character alphanumeric string, and then it is set up with a hard-coded RSA key. It will decrypt the string using corresponding private keys, and then it will send it back. So it's an interesting part. It's designed specifically for exfiltration, obviously, and then to deploy any additional malware that you may have where they may have it already pre-positioned within the organization. So bottom line is if you have these Juniper routers within your environment, you may want to take a look at it. It is, again, targeting folks within the US, UK, Europe, and Russia, and they're focused on chips manufacturing and the energy sector. So just a piece of advice, you may want to just go check that out and see what may or may not be affecting you and your environment. All right, so let's get started on the questions for today. Okay, so the question for today, we are in Group 9, again, of the CISSP Cyber Training. You can go there, and this is one of hundreds of questions that I have available for you to help you study for the exam. Now, as we all mentioned, again, taking the CISSP exam, questions are an important part of understanding the mindset and thought process behind what would be the individuals asking the questions, but mainly is that if you are a CISSP, you are a security professional within an organization, you need to understand the thought process. So the questions are designed to help you understand the thought process. Memorizing questions will not get you the questions you need to pass the test. The ultimate goal of going through question after question after question is to try to think about how would a senior professional think about a specific cybersecurity situation. So we're going to get into the questions. Question 1, a telecom provider has reported a sudden increase in call failures across their network. Upon investigation, they discover that unauthorized access was gained to their SS7 signaling system. What is the primary risk associated with this type of attack? So again, the telecom provider reported a sudden increase in call failures. Upon investigation, they discovered unauthorized access to their SSL signaling system. What is the primary risk associated with this type of attack? A. Eavesdropping on calls and text messages. B. Intercepting data packets in the VoIP system. C. Exploiting toll fraud and PBX systems. Or D. Conducting spam over internet telephony. Telephony. Yeah, that's it. It's spit. And the answer is A. Eavesdropping on calls and text messages, right? So we know if you compromise the SS7 signaling protocol, it is a critical part of the operations of a PSTN system. And if you gain access to it, you can bypass their controls in place, and then you would have the ability to eavesdrop on calls and messages that are going through that environment. So again, it's an important part to keep in mind. Question 2. An organization notices unusual spikes in VoIP traffic during off hours. Upon inspection, they find that unauthorized calls are being made to premium rate numbers overseas. Which mitigation strategy should be the prioritization? Again, organizations notice unusual spikes in VoIP traffic during off hours. What should they do? A. Implements SRTP for voice encryption. B. Blocking international and premium rate calls. C. Configuring SIP servers to default credentials. Or D. Disabling voicemail systems. Again, so they're seeing VoIP traffic during off hours. And the answer is B. Blocking international and premium calls. Again, blocking unnecessary call destinations such as international or premium rate numbers, depending upon how it's all set up within your organization. It is a way that you can effectively reduce potentially the risk of toll fraud. Encrypting of SRTP protects confidentiality of voice data, but it does not do anything to prevent unauthorized call routing. And then configuring the SIP is basically an example of poor security practice. And disabling voicemail just doesn't do anything to this whole conversation. Question 3. A user receives a call claiming to be from their bank, asking them to verify their account information. The caller ID displays the legitimate bank's number. What method is the attacker using? Again, legitimate call. They think it's legitimate. Receives a call from their bank, asking them to verify the account. Caller ID says it's a legitimate bank number. A. Eavesdropping. B. Session hacking. C. Caller ID spoofing. Or D. Man in the middle. And again, the answer is C. Caller ID spoofing. Again, it's a tactic where attackers will they will take advantage of the caller ID to appear to be coming through what they're supposed to be from a trusted entity, like such as in this situation, a bank or potentially a government agency. This is a vishing attack, and it does create a sense of legitimacy and trust. So therefore, what do? Oh, yes, I will give you all of my bank information. So again, keep that in mind. That is caller ID spoofing. Question 4. A company discovers that a PBX system has been hacked. The attackers have configured it to forward calls to unauthorized international numbers. What is the best way to prevent this type of fraud in the future? A. Use session border controllers. B. Encrypt calls using SRTP. C. Implement multi-factor authentication on all PBX users. Or D. Disable unused extensions and features within, obviously, the PBX system. So again, if a company discovers a PBX system is being hacked and attackers have configured it to forward calls, what should you do? And the answer is D. Disable unused extensions and features, right? So a lot of times what happens is you have these extensions or features that may be out there that you are utilizing, or maybe you're not even utilizing them. And now what ends up happening is attackers will use them for their benefit. So you need to disable these unused features to limit the attack surface and reduce opportunities for exploitation. Again, very important part. Question 5. A company implements a program to educate employees on recognizing vishing attempts. Which tactic should employees be taught to recognize as a potential red flag? A. Calls requesting immediate payment to avoid account suspension. C. Routine calls requesting clarification on account details. C. Calls originating from internal numbers. Or D. Request to verify email addresses over the phone. So a company implements a program to educate employees on recognizing vishing attempts. Which tactic should employees be taught to recognize as a red flag? And the answer is A. Calls requesting immediate payment to avoid account suspension. right? Vishing attackers will commonly use a sense of urgency. And it's not just them, it's everybody, right? Please do it now or you will lose access. And it's designed to pressure victims into providing sensitive information or making payments, right? And I've had family members do that specifically as well, making a mistake and going, oh yeah, sure, I'll pay you. And then they realize at the end of it, oh no, that was a bad idea. Yes. Question 6, an attacker intercepts an unencrypted VoIP call and gains access to sensitive corporate discussions. Not good. Which protocol should the company implement to prevent such incidents? Again, they intercept unencrypted VoIP calls. A, Secure Real-Time Transport Protocol, SRTP. B, Signaling System 7, SS7. Session Initiation Protocol, SIP. Or Real-Time Transport Protocol, RTP. And the answer is, and we've talked about it, it is A, Secure Real-Time Transport Protocol. SRTP encrypts and authenticates real-time audio and video streams, preventing attackers from accessing sensitive data during a VoIP call. It's something it used to have to set up initially. You had to actually go physically in and set this up. Now, in many cases, I believe it pretty much comes on as default. Question 7. Which of the following is a primary weakness of older PSTN systems? Which of the following is a primary weakness of older PSTN systems? A, susceptibility to spam over internet telephony. B, poor integration with fiber optics networks. C, difficult in scaling for international use. Or D, vulnerabilities in SS7 signaling protocols. Which of the following is a primary weakness of PSTN systems, which are old as dirt? It is D, SS7 signaling protocols. Again, this is where you rely on the SS7 for call routing and signaling, which is designed without modern security. And what happens? Bad things can happen on old PSTN. Question 8. What is the best way to minimize the impact of SPIT and VoIP systems? Or the impact of SPIT on VoIP systems, I should say. Okay, what's the best way to minimize the impact of SPIT on VoIP systems? A, encrypt VoIP to use SRTP. B, disable international call features. C, use spam filters to monitor SIP messages. Or D, to change default SIP port numbers. And the best way to minimize that is C, to use spam filters to monitor SIP messages. So these unsolicited spam calls will be made, and then obviously when they're made, these spam filters will analyze these messages and detect, aha, these are spam-malicious, so you don't want those. And therefore, what will happen? They will go away. Well, actually, you just get an indication saying, this might be spam, this might be a scam. Question 9. An attacker uses tones generated by a blue box to manipulate the analog phone systems. What specific type of attack does this represent? Again, attacker uses, air quotes, tones to generate a blue box to manipulate analog phone systems. What kind of attack is it? A, caller ID spoofing. B, exploiting in-band signaling. C, voicemail hacking. Or D, denial of service. Using blue box to manipulate an analog system, it is B, exploiting the in-band signaling. Blue boxes exploited vulnerabilities in analog telecommunication systems by generating in-band signaling tones, right? So that's what they do, and they call routing, and then they would bypass the billing system by using this beep, boop, 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 boop thing. So that's the exploiting of the in-band systems. Question 10. An organization discovers that attackers have accessed their voicemail systems and are using it to receive fraudulent calls for social engineering. What is the most effective mitigation for this type of attack? So again, an organization discovers that attackers have accessed their voicemail systems and are using it to receive fraudulent calls for social engineering. What is the most effective mitigation for this type of attack? A, SRTP to secure voicemail recordings. B, block calls from unrecognized numbers. C, require strong, unique passwords for voicemail access. Or D, disable voicemail access after business hours. And the answer is C, require strong, unique passwords for voicemail access. Again, this is an important part. And you don't want to make sure you have strong voicemail passwords. Have a spreadsheet with saying, yes, CEO is 1234. The CIO is 4321. The CFO is 12225. You don't want to have that in a spreadsheet sitting on somebody's desk or in their computer because, that kind of bypasses the whole product. Question 11. An employee receives a call from someone claiming to be from IT department. Requesting the employee's hot login credentials to resolve a system issue. I've used this a lot. And it'll make the internet go faster. Just give me your credentials. It'll work. I promise you. What is the best immediate response for the employee? A, hang up and report the call to IT security. B, provide the credentials if the caller ID matches its number. C, verify the call if you're asking for the supervisor's number. Or D, ignore the request, but stay on the call to gather more information. You maybe could have a buddy. You could talk to them a little bit more, and their friend from Uganda or wherever. No, so you want to A, hang up the call to IT security. Yes, it's a vishing attempt to terminate the transaction and report it as quickly as you possibly can. Again, that's a big question mark there. It's kind of interesting. All right, not really a question mark. It's a statement. Sorry, that was kind of weird. Question 12. An attacker exploits a PBX system to route international calls for free. The company suspects that the PBX system was not properly secured. What action would have likely prevented this issue? So again, attacker exploits a PBX system to route international calls for free. The company suspects the PBX was not properly secured. What action would likely have prevented this issue? A, updating the PBX firmware regularly. B, using intrusion detection systems, IDSs, to monitor the calls. C, enforcing least privilege for administrative users. Or D, restricting outbound call permissions by authorized users only. And the answer is D, yes. By restricting the outbound calls to specific users or departments will limit the ability for attackers to exploit PBX systems for toll fraud. That, again, means you got to set it up. And what probably is the case now in many ways is your PBX system was set up by somebody my age, and they've all moved on to the nursing care homes, and now nobody knows how to set the darn thing up. So guess what? You're going to have to figure it out. But the good thing is you have the internet, and there's lots of online resources to help you. So get right in there to your PBX system. Question 13. Which of the following VoIP systems configurations can most effectively reduce spit attacks? I just like to say that, the spit attack. Which of the following VoIP system configurations can most effectively reduce spit attacks? A, implementing SIP-specific firewalls with spam detection. C, changing default SIP ports to non-standard ones. D or C, encrypting SIP communications with TLS. Or D, disabling call forwarding features. Okay, so what is the following VoIP system configurations that can most effectively reduce spit attacks? And the answer is A, implementing SIP-specific firewalls with spam detection. So if you don't know, you just know that spit attack deals with the spam. So focus on that and then utilize that in the question. If you don't know, narrow it down to the ones that you may feel comfortable that it's probably this or it's close to this. Again, like I say, these questions, you may or may not see them on the CISSP exam. The ultimate goal is for you just to understand that they do exist. Question 14. Why are legacy telecommunication systems more susceptible to freaking attacks than the modern systems? Again, which ones are more susceptible to freaking attacks than the modern systems? A, legacy systems lack signaling protocols entirely. B, legacy systems rely heavily on encryption to secure calls. C, legacy systems use in-band signaling, which is easier to exploit. And D, legacy systems allow unlimited call forwarding. So all of those may have something in there, but the one that is most susceptible, and why they're most susceptible, is C. Legacy systems use in-band signaling, which is easier to exploit. Because we kind of talked about this a few times in this discussion. By doing that, they're allowing them the signals over the same channel as voice data, making it easier for attackers to manipulate these signals, such as tools such as blue boxes. Again, that's one of the legacy systems. Question 15. A company notices unusual patterns in its call log, which is of high volumes of calls to specific international numbers. What is the most effective first step in addressing this issue? Okay, so again, you notice that now it's going to all kinds of international numbers again. And what should you do? A, block all international calls immediately. Yes, that is taking a sledgehammer to the problem. It will work, but it may not be the most important. B, audit PBX logs, calls, and identify unauthorized activity. C, enable encryption on VoIP traffic. Okay. And then D, change administrative passwords for the PBX system. Okay, so you're noticing unusual call logs and high volumes to a specific international number. What are the first steps you should do? The first steps would be audit PBX call logs and identify the unauthorized activity. You want to understand what's going on. You got to audit it to look at it and figure out, hey, this is not good. We need to deal with this. Then you may want to enable, after you deal with that problem, changing administrative passwords, enabling encryption, all those type of fun things you may want us to do in the future. But the first thing is audit it and figure out what kind of problem do you have. Houston, we have a problem, and you want to get that word out and addressed as quickly as possible. Okay, that is all I have for you today on CISSP Cyber Training. Head on over to CISSP Cyber Training. I've got 360 free questions for you at CISSP Cyber Training. You can go to CISSPquestions.com. You can go to CISSP Question or CISSPCybertraining.com. Just go Google it. You'll find it. Googly woogly. And there's 360 free questions for you that are passed out over the period of 6 months, and you'll get those in bulk. Basically, out every 2 weeks, you'll get some. So as you're studying, you'll be ready to go. If you want a plan to help you step by step to get ready to pass the CISSP exam, you need to sign up with CISSP Cyber Training. You can purchase one of my products that I have, and then what it'll do is it'll give you access to my blueprint, and my blueprint is the bomb. It will help you step by step on what you need to do to be better prepared for the exam. If you walk through my blueprint, everybody that has walked through my blueprint has passed the CISSP exam. The key is the ones that have used my blueprint, they pass it. The ones that don't use it, well, that's up for grabs. You just never know. The bottom line is go to CISSP Cyber Training and check it out. You also can go to reducecyberrisk.com, and you can also check that out if you're looking for a consultant. I've got the ability to help you there as well. There's lots of great stuff available. Again, go check out CISSPcybertraining.com and get access to 360 free questions for you to help cram for the CISSP. Have a wonderful day, y'all. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. See ya. Hey, thanks again for listening today. It's been my pleasure to prep you for the CISSP exam. Are you interested, though, in some free CISSP exam questions? Head on over to freecissPquestions.com and sign up to join my email list, and you'll receive access for 60 free CISSP questions each and every month for the next 6 months. That's a total of 360 questions just for signing up with CISSP Cyber Training. You'll also gain access to other free CISSP resources, so just head on over to freecissPquestions.com and sign up, or head on over to CISSPCybertraining.com and sign up today. Have a wonderful day, and we will catch you on the flip side. See ya.